Hi, and welcome to Not a Safe Space. This is Sabrina.
And Tabby.
Hey, Tabby, what's going on?
Not much. How are you?
Good. Episode 3.
I know we keep coming back for more.
I know we're back.
We must love this torture.
You know what's funny? I told our friend Jen this morning, I said, I think I'm going to talk to Tabby more than I've ever spoken to anybody in my life through this process.
That's actually a very good point. You are pretty much my only connection to the outside world at this point, for the most part.
The only person that I actually talk to on the phone, right? That's not a text message.
Right. Yeah, I don't normally talk to anybody else on the phone, except for my
mother. So if we weren't friends before this, we're either going to become better friends or really be like, this bitch is crazy.
Well, I'm going to definitely say this bitch is crazy, but we're still really good friends.
That's right. So, let's see. The last episode was really fun. We had some weather issues and some things going on, but you told me about a show, which, hold on, I'm going to look it up, the full name really quick, because I watched it, and I'm so glad you told me about it.
Right. It was the Food That Built America, and it was on the History Channel.
Yes. And if anybody else wants to watch it, which I recommend 100%, it's available on Hulu. It's 3 episodes that are about an hour and a half, or an hour to an hour and a half long. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I'll tell you what, I have some feelings on it now that it's over with.
Well, now, mind you, I did not watch all 3 episodes. I only got part of 1, and that was it. So you have more knowledge on this than I do.
Okay. Well, look at my hand. Does my hand look ginormous?
Well, it looks about the same size as your face. So do you think you have a big face?
I think I have man hands.
Well, ask Nate. See what he says.
So, anyways, I got a little distracted there. I am going to a drag show on Saturday, and I was kidding around with one of the brides and said, I hope I don't get mistaken as a drag queen since I'm so tall with broad shoulders, big man hands.
Oh, wait a minute. So a bridal shower is going to a drag show?
Yeah. Or
is it for a bachelorette party?
Yeah, bachelorette party. We're going to a drag show.
Okay. That's an interesting choice.
Well, we have Hamburger Mary's here. Do you guys have those?
Yes, we have one in Orlando, and I don't.
Yeah. So
you want a real drag? No, I do not like Hamburger Mary's. To me, it feels like a commercialized drag show. You want to go see a drag show? You go to a gay bar and you see a drag show where the drag queens really put forth this big effort because it's their art and they are 110% into it, not because they're just getting a paycheck.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I think in our market, it might be a little different because up here, it's not like there's a ton of options for drag queens.
Well, how many gay bars do you have up there?
True 100% gay bars. I'm just guessing. Now, in my career, I did business with one of them, and that one's more of a nightclub, which I know that's the only nightclub in Jacksonville that is a gay club.
Okay.
And then I know of another one on the west side, but I don't honestly know of that many. Now, I'm sure there are more.
There's a shit ton more. Like, there's a bunch in Orlando.
Yeah, but in Jacksonville...
No, there's got to be more. You're just not part of the inner circle.
I don't know, because even like the one that I go to a lot, which is one of my favorite bars. I mean, if I'm not at the local prostitute one near the airport, we're at the gay bar because that's where our friend works and we love it there, and it's cheap beers and you don't have to worry about scumbags hitting on you.
Right. Now, many times as we've been up there, how come we haven't gone to the gay bar?
I don't know. Why we don't ever go? You know who normally goes is I brought Jamie one time A couple hockey guys have been with us,
Fun.
but it's just Nate and I.
That's nice.
I try to get Nate, a little action while I'm there. No, I did one time, but I was drunk. So
You try to get Nate a little action with a gay man.
he was in there helping out. Like I said, our friend is a bartender there and has some ownership in something there, but Nate was helping them with their network.
Okay.
And so then I sat at the bar with my free tokens and just started drinking some IPAs. And by the end of it, I was telling everybody at the bar how awesome of an ass my husband has.
And they
so when
all
he came back
to see his ass, didn't they?
Yes, when he came around the corner, they were all like, "We have to see it now." And he's like, "Sabrina, cut it out. What are you doing?"
Now,
So
if it had been a shit ton of women, right? He would have been like, "Hey, look at my ass. Look at my ass. This is hot." But now because it's guys, he's all shy.
I think probably the opposite. Nate and his friends, because of the music that they listen to, he's hung out in gay bars probably more than I have.
Okay.
Like the friend that we have is one of his 20, 30-year friend. So Nate and Louie, they went out all the time, and Nate enjoyed it because the music, in his opinion, was better.
Okay.
So, yeah, we like it. If anybody's ever in Jacksonville, check out the Boot Rack. It's an awesome bar, outdoor patio. We have to go next time because, girl, they have an outdoor patio that they have karaoke and they have a DJ and you can dance and it's a good time.
Okay. We'll definitely have to check it out. I love gay bars.
All right, perfect. You see, I've been to a few in Virginia Beach, but in Norfolk, but only the Boot Rack here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And I wouldn't consider Hamburger Mary, like you said, it's a franchise.
Right, in a restaurant. It's not a bar.
Right. Yeah. So it's different. It's commercialized. But I do believe, those drag queens, I've been to the drag show one other time, and for drag queens, they look beautiful. They were great. So I don't know the difference between that drag queen and another.
So I feel like Hamburger Mary's is the place where straight people can go to see a drag show. They can say, "Oh, I've seen a drag show," without actually having to go into the gay world, into a gay bar. Do you know what I mean? Because it's a restaurant.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's safe. There's a lot more other straight people there. So, and there's no sex in those shows whatsoever. When I have seen some drag shows in gay bars where the women, the drag queens get up there and all they are in some pasties, and these bitches look fucking hot. And it was like, damn. You couldn't tell that this man was a woman with pasties on. That's pretty fucking impressive.
It's amazing, right? They look badass.
Yes.
Badass. But I agree with what you're saying. Hamburger Mary's, I feel like, is a safe spot to go for people to be like, well, I'm open-minded.
Right.
Look at me, I'm open-minded. I'm hanging out in a gay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I got a little distracted. I could see my hand. When we start releasing videos.
Stop looking at your hand. Stop looking at it. Stop looking at your hand. Put your hand down. Okay, well, here,
it's so big.
Let's topic really quick. So we will not talk about your hand. Did you go on Google and look at how many holes are in a nipple?
I did not. Now, did you?
No, you were supposed to. That was your homework.
So I Googled milk coming out of a nipple.
Okay.
Because I wanted to send you an image of it. Bad idea.
Why?
Because then it starts showing inflamed nipples.
Like them infected?
Yeah. So I was in the middle of cooking dinner and I was like, I'm fucking done with this.
That probably was not the best time to look for that either.
Right. But I'm telling you, so you have your areola, and then you got that itty bitty eraser in the center. On that eraser, there's
Eraser?
tons of.
You mean your nipple?
Yeah, I mean, whatever that part is
Is
called.
that what you call it? An eraser?
No, but that's what my mother's look like.
Why are we talking about your mother's titties?
I don't know, but that's what Nate calls them, erasers. So
Erasers?
not mine. I have beautiful boobs, by the way. I
Okay.
have beautiful boobs and perfect nipples. But anyways, on that little nipple part, there are like pores right there. And so when the milk starts to come through, it comes through on that whole entire area.
Oh, so it's like a stream of jets all the way around your areola.
Everything, yep.
So it's like a
Yep.
shower. It's a shower of
It
breast.
is. It's like, yeah, like a rain shower. Or think of that sprinkler. They used to go around your yard and it had different streams going in every direction.
Right?
It kind of looks like that because if you squeeze it to express the milk out, one will go to the left, one will go to the right, one's shooting in the center, they go in every direction.
That's interesting. Like I said, did not know my titty had holes in it.
Yeah, pore. I would think that maybe they're considered pores.
I don't know what they're considered. I've never had a hole in my titty. I've never had anything come out before.
The weird thing is they don't warn you about it, right? So I think when I first had Ethan, I was expecting one hole, kind of like a penis.
Right, and it just shoots out.
Not the case at all.
Well, I wasn't even thinking shooting. I was thinking more like they suck on it, and as they massage it, they pull it out. Not like it's like pew pew pew.
Yeah, no, you can shoot it out just like you would, like a hole in a water balloon. If you start squeezing it, it'll start pushing out even more.
So your titty's
pretty funny. And then when I had Lorelai, I wanted to try to truly breastfeed. I wasn't successful with Ethan. So Nate and I took a class that we thought we were mature enough for.
No.
No, not at all.
No, you're not mature enough for that class right now. And Lorelai is not.
No. Okay, so imagine this. This is what's on the video. Okay. It's a inside vision of somebody's mouth, which would be a baby, right? And then it shows the nipple going inside, which then your nipple elongates into the mouth. So now you see this long thing in this mouth, and now it's sucking. And so it's making this motion in the mouth, and then it's squirting white stuff into the back of it. And I fucking lost it and started laughing hysterically and trying to suffocate myself because every time it squirted white stuff into the mouth, I couldn't control myself. And then Nate started laughing and Nate's turning red and we're both crying and there's other couples in there just staring at us like really assholes.
But I mean, it's funny. Basically what they're saying is it looks like a blowjob. Just straight up a blowjob.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Wow, it's a titty blowjob.
That's exactly what it looked like. And I lost it.
I don't blame you. How could anybody keep a straight face while watching that?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Everybody else did except for Nate and I.
Well, you two are cool and they're not, so that's why.
Yeah, right. So, okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. Back to, what's the show called again? I'm writing this down.
The Food That Built America. It's on the History Channel.
All right. So this is the part that I'm fired up about.
All right.
So you were 110% right about how much history has discredited, and her name was Marjorie Post, which yesterday we kept calling her Mary, but Marjorie was her full name. She was the daughter of C.W. Post, who started the Post cereal company.
Okay.
Truth of the matter is, he stole the idea from Dr. Kellogg and his brother, ran with it, sold the cereal before Kellogg would, and that's how he started making money. Her father had some mental issues.
Okay.
And that's how he met Dr. Kellogg, was at this hospital.
So Dr. Kellogg was a psychologist or a psychiatric doctor, and Tony the Tiger came from a psychologist.
Yes, because he marketed granola as a way to cure mental health. It was healthy living, healthy eating, healthy mind, yoga. He had this medical retreat that he had a very famous name, but because he was a doctor, and he created this granola that his brother, the other Kellogg, wanted to sell, and he refused to. Well, guess who was working in the kitchen while they were creating all this stuff? C.W. Post.
Okay.
Who then is cured of his mental whatever.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, steals the fucking granola and goes and makes it on his own, brands it as, what's that nasty stuff? Grape nut cereal.
Okay.
And that was the very first cereal introduced to the U.S. So then it becomes this big, eventually, obviously, Kellogg releases their cornflake.
Right, their version of it.
Yeah, which was a mistake. They made it by accident. But they created a cornflake, and so now it's Kellogg versus Post. So Nate and I are watching this, and we're like, well, obviously, Kellogg's won, right? Post cereal is nothing these days. It's General Mills and Kellogg that are the big winners. Well, then the next episode goes to C.W. Post. Eventually, he has success. He has a daughter and a wife, and then kills himself. He's convinced himself he has stomach cancer, and he kills himself.
So he apparently was not cured mentally.
Yeah, no.
The granola did not work.
Right, the granola did not help him. And I'm sure the grape nut cereal made it even fucking worse if you had to eat that every day of your life.
Well, I mean, nobody can compare that to you and your amazing slop.
No, no, not at all, which I love, by the way. So, C.W. Post dies. The only person left to run the company is his daughter, Marjorie Post.
What happened to the wife?
Well, she wasn't an option, but because her father had bred her and raised her like she was a son. So she was under his desk during meetings. She was in the conference room under the table during meetings. The daughter was involved in everything.
Okay.
So she took over the company, and what she did took Post to being a food franchise. She went out and she bought Kraft.
Oh.
She bought, what the fuck? There were a few other major brands. She said, I don't want to be just cereal. I want to be a food empire. So she went out and bought all these small companies, including Birdseye.
Right.
So that's how she purchased Birdseye. At the time, Birdseye was just a small company that had nothing going on for it except for the fact that he had the patent
right
to what you were talking about yesterday, the flash freezing. She paid $22 million for it.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know she was investigated for doing that?
Why was she investigated?
She was investigated because she overpaid for this company. So this guy Birdseye was a genius. He created flash freezing and frozen food. However, at that time, 50% of America didn't have electricity. So he created freezers or frozen food, but none of us motherfuckers had freezers.
Correct. Yep.
So he could only sell it locally, and then they had to eat it the same day.
Right.
So at that time, the company made 0 cents. She saw it as the future. This is the future of food.
Right.
I have the ability, I have the money, because she created this empire of small food companies to get the railroad, get cars, get us trucks, get us freezers, make freezers.
Right.
And that's why she paid $22 million. And she had to go in front of the U.S. Senate and tell them, I didn't buy the frozen food. I bought these patents.
Right, exactly. And that was exactly what she did. She bought the patents. And the other thing that she did when she was really smart was when she sold it to grocery stores, she paid to have the freezers installed in the stores so they could carry it.
Yes, which is genius, right? I mean, and she created the glass cover fronts of the freezers so you could see the food inside the freezers.
Right.
And then, did you see the episode that connected it to World War II?
Vaguely.
So on the very last episode, obviously in World War II, so now there's hunger issues, there's food issues, Mars and Hershey's and
that's right. They were advertising their chocolate bars as protein and meal supplements.
Right, because they were making mostly peanuts. What was it? Mr. Good bars or something like that. They market it as a protein bar. So because the U.S. was sending most of our food to our soldiers overseas, there was a lack of food available here in the U.S.
Right.
Well, where was there a freezer full of fucking food?
In Bird's Eye.
Exactly right. And so then the company took off even more.
Right, because by that point, it was like 80% of American households actually had a freezer.
Had a freezer, right. And they were just sitting on this gold mine that took off.
Yep.
So this is the part that annoys the shit out of me. So then I go to Wikipedia's page because I'm looking up the different M&M people. I'm into it now. I want a little more information than what the show is giving me. Okay. This is the first paragraph of M&M's page. So Post was later changed to General Foods Corporation, who owns Kraft and a bunch of other different companies.
It was always General Foods.
No, it started as Post, and then when they started purchasing, she changed it to General Foods.
Okay, and then it was Post Cereal, Bird's Eye, and then whatever the company names were.
Correct. All the separate entities still keep their names, but the umbrella is General Foods.
Okay.
So on the Wikipedia page, it says, was a company that was, predecessor was established in the U.S. by C.W. Post of Post Cereal in 1895. The General Food name was adopted in 1929 after several corporate acquisitions. In 1985, they acquired Philip Morris. So that's the, light bulb company, right?
Yes. General Electric.
I don't know. Well, there's General Electric, but I thought Philip Morris was an electric company too. I might be wrong.
Too.
Oh yeah, the largest non-oil acquisition at the time. I don't know. What the fuck ever. So.
Okay.
So Philip Morris
not turning out very well.
Yes. Well, that's not the point. This is the point. So then it says in 1988, Philip Morris acquires Kraft. Kraft combines the two companies and they become Kraft General Foods. General Foods was dropped from the corporate name, and a line of caffeine hot beverages continue to carry the General Food International name until 2010. What is missing from that?
Margaret?
Yeah. They completely left her out.
Of course they did.
So then further down on the Wikipedia page, I went into the history of the company. So then it says he dies.
Right.
While his death was without warning, the company was not left rudderless. His daughter, Marjorie Post, had been raised in the business and was familiar with virtually every aspect of its operation. She assumed control of the now 20 million Post company and managed its affairs for the next 8 years. While she did not oversee major product innovations, she did have a good feel of business and for promoting talented managers. In her second marriage, she married blah, 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 blah.
She didn't say that part again? She didn't have a good business sense?
While she did not oversee the major product innovation, she did have a good feel for business and for promoting talented managers.
But she did oversee the product innovation. She's the one that literally bought Bird's Eye. She bought the patents for the product innovation.
Exactly right. So when I read this last night, I was fired. They completely, oh, well, she had a very good sense for business. Fuck you.
Right. Oh, she was so cute. You know what? It's so fucking condescending. Why can't they give her the credit as they would as if it was a man?
Right. Exactly
She built these
right.
companies from the ground up. She
Took
built them. She ran them. She was
right.
the fuckingest, wealthiest woman in the country at that time. Not because she married it, because she earned it.
Right. And she took it somewhere that her father could never do. First of all, he wasn't mentally stable enough to handle it, where this woman and this child came in and handled business.
Right.
And directed these men to go out and purchase and acquire these other companies. And she built an empire that her father could never even imagine. However, Wikipedia says she did have a good feel for business.
A good feel. That's what it is. A good feel. Go fuck your mother. That's how I feel about that, Wikipedia.
I'm so fucking pissed about that.
You should be. And nobody's talking about the fact that Bird's Eye, while they had patents for all of these wonderful innovation technology at the time, but he wasn't smart enough to build it into a successful company. That's how Margaret Post was able to come in and buy it, because they were about to go out of business.
Right. And if you think about the patents, that means every single thing in regards to frozen food she made money from.
Yes.
Every single portion of it. Every single company that then had to get use of their freezers and everything she made money from.
Right.
She was a completely, she was a boss.
She was years, centuries ahead of her time.
Right.
And Wikipedia even today goes, oh, she just had a good sense of business.
Fuck
you.
That I was so mad last night. I was so angry at it that they just, I love the documentary. I think they did an amazing job of giving her the credit that she was due.
Correct. History Channel, you fucking rock. Wikipedia, you can suck my dick.
Right. 100%. Eat a dick. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
And I thought that the show also, so think about this, that 100 years ago, only 100 years ago, so that means there's people alive that 100 years ago were born into a home that did not have electricity in the United States.
Right.
The show reminded me that we're such a young country.
We are.
And we've come so far in just 100 years that I truly feel like we need to give ourselves a fucking break.
It's true. You know, very much like how we feel like we have to have this pressure to be absolutely perfect. We also have this pressure that we've got to move forward 10 times faster than we are moving. But, you know, as human beings, we don't react to change as quickly as we would like to.
Right. Well, it made me think a lot of, you know, like Donald Trump's slogan of Make America Great Again, or people wanting to erase history that happened.
Or rewrite it incorrectly.
Right. Is that we're still a young country, and it was really a dog-eat-dog world even 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. When Kellogg and Post were created, and you had people, the KFC guy, he fucking shot someone. Did you see that?
I did. But it was in self-defense.
Yeah. Well, it truly was because his competition was painting over his sign. Right. But that was 100 years ago, where it was okay. I mean, shit happened.
Right.
we have to allow ourselves to to accept our history, and that we've made some fucking mistakes, but we're trying to learn from it. So when you take just a segment of things that happen and say, well, America and Americans are assholes because of this, we're still babies.
Right, especially when you compare to other countries such as England or Scotland that have been around, oh my God, so much longer than us.
Right. That was a huge thing I took from it, is when I was looking up the dates and then subtracting it from 2019, and I'm like, that was 100 years ago. I'm 40 years old. I mean, that's almost, it's just insane to me.
Right.
It's insane. And I feel like I want people, and it's never going to happen. I mean, who's going to listen to me? But give us a fucking break.
Right.
Americans, we are fucking great. Don't make America great again. We are great. Stop being so negative.
Yep. I agree.
I'm so fired up from that series. On top of that, I want my son to see it, because my son has aspirations to create his own boat manufacturing company.
Okay.
And I think, like most younger kids, and even, people our own age, we want things to come easy.
Well, of course we do. I mean, that's kind of how we've lived. If you think about it, we live in an age of convenience. Mm-hmm. And if it's not convenient, we whine and cry about it instead of going, well, how can I fix this? How can I solve this problem? We don't, like 100 years ago, we don't have that sense of entrepreneurship like we used to. 100 years ago, we were building this country. People were, I am going to build this company. I have found something, and I am going to take it to the next level. I don't care if I'm penniless for the rest of my life. And they're like, this is my life goal, and I'm going to do it. And they did. But today you've got kids that are going, that's hard. No, thanks. What's next?
Yeah.
Instead of like getting into the grit, and there's no entrepreneurial spirit, or I can't say there isn't, but it's so low in comparison to how it used to be.
It is. And I think that now I don't know the history of families like the Morgans and those families that we were talking about yesterday too, that we mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I think that people assume that they come from money, and so that wealth just builds upon wealth, which, yes, that's true.
It does, yep.
However, when you look at Post, Kellogg's, Heinz, KFC, McDonald's, these were poor people.
They were, absolutely. And they freaking found an opportunity and built on it.
Right.
And even when the wealth distributes to the next generation isn't just sitting there on it and, having a great time. This next generation has been prepared and has been prepped and trained and ready to take on the family business, because they will spend the rest of their adult lives working and expanding the business. Right. And they will do so with their other children, and it will go down. That's how wealth extends over generations. Mm-hmm. Is that you prepare your next generation for this wealth, and to teach them how to keep it, how to expand it, and how to grow.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that we as Americans truly need to appreciate this history and where it started from. We started as poor people. Mm-hmm. 100% started as poor people, and the U.S. has had its ups and downs, and that's the great thing about this docuseries, is that it talks about the Great Depression. Well, it talks about the Roaring '20s and how much wealth we all had, and then how quickly we lost it.
Yep, it was gone. Poof.
Right,
in months, everything was gone.
Right, and then it showed how we built it back up again, and then how it fucking hit us all over again. And not just with one thing, but in the middle of World War II and all this crazy shit. Then did you see the part about the dust storm?
Yes, the crops, absolutely. So there literally was no food.
Right. Right. And I just wish that as many people, whoever is listening to this, go and watch this docuseries. I'm personally going to tell everybody I know about it because I learned so much, and I got angry about it, and I got pride from it. I'm proud to be an American after watching that.
Absolutely. We are a hardcore group of people, and we have built this country literally from the ground up. So I mean, and I love it, and I love that the History Channel, for most of their series, is unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the facts, you don't get the twisted views. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, like political views or agendas or anything like that. Yeah. That makes sense. I don't watch a ton on the History Channel. Only if somebody recommends something to me. So I'm happy that you recommended it to me, and I spent last night, and we watched all three of them. I mean, Nate and I were in, and Nate was surprised. He was like, where'd you get this idea from? What? So then I looked smart to him.
Nice. Did you tell him it came from me? So did I get the smart points? Did I get the smart points?
Yeah. You did. You got some smart points yesterday, too.
I got smart points.
Right. So I really enjoyed the series. I'm contemplating, or I think you should go on, since you're the writer, and change that fucking Wikipedia page.
I can't change Wikipedia page.
Yes, you can. That's how Wikipedia works.
I'm not I can't do. What are you talking about?
So
I can go in there and go edit and go da and re-upload it.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, you didn't know that's how Wikipedia was made?
No.
Yeah, that's why people tell you not to believe Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is built on people correcting and building these pages.
So I could literally go into Wikipedia and say Forrest Mars was a douchebag, and then they would upload that?
So I don't know how the approval process works, but I know 110% that you can go in and change it, because my son and his friends have put some asshole stuff on like local high schools.
Okay. On Wikipedia.
Right, that you can go in and change it until somebody reports it, and then, so yeah, 100%. One of us need to go in and give this lady the credit that she's due, more than a fucking one-liner.
Exactly. All right.
So yeah, that's why they say really not to believe Wikipedia, because it's somebody's
opinion.
Right, it's somebody's input.
See, I apparently am the naive one, because I thought going in and watching or reading Wikipedia that it was historical facts. Literally, that's all I thought it was, just historical facts. Now all of a sudden I'm getting, you have just crushed my dreams.
No, I guarantee it's some pot-belly sexist asshole that wrote that she had a knack for business.
Right.
Some dickhead.
But how do you find out who wrote the last update?
I don't know if it tells you that. Hold on, let me go to her Wikipedia
wouldn't that
page.
be fun to find out who it was and send them a message? Like, you have a knack for business.
Right.
Oh, you're so cute.
So let me see. All right, I'm on her Wikipedia page. Now what it does, on some of it, it will show like a site. It'll cite its facts. Is that what it's called?
A reference.
Yeah, it'll do that. But, so see this page, last edited 3 days ago by Anonymous.
Okay, that's bullshit. I'll never read Wikipedia again.
Yeah, never. And then see there's an edit page. See, editing. So you could go on and edit, create your account on Wikipedia and edit it.
So wait, we could create a Wikipedia page for Not a Safe Space?
100%.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
We might have to do that.
Let me see. I think my son might have a Wikipedia page because I think he thinks he's a superstar. Let me see.
Well, of course, he's going to build a boating manufacturing company.
He is, for sure. But I'm going to make him watch that show first because they talk a lot about entrepreneurs and how, like, Heinz, he got arrested because that motherfucker was broke.
Yeah.
And how easily he could have just given up. Now, this is disgusting. Did you see why he invented ketchup?
No, I didn't see the Heinz story. Okay, spill the beans.
So it was just over 100 years ago.
Okay.
Where Americans were eating foul meat.
Yes. Because we didn't have enough salt.
Spoiled meat for dinner. And so
basically it was a cover-up.
Yes. So the original, whatever they were putting on it was in this brown bottle, and they had no idea really what they were just pouring on this rotting meat that they were eating in order to get it down. So he thought, I've got to be able to create something that tastes better than this.
Right.
And that's safe.
Yeah, because raw meat is not good for you.
No, but just think about how fucked up that is. Here, we're talking about preservatives and shit yesterday. 120 years ago, we have people eating raw fucking meat.
Right? We're worried about you eating shake and bake or your slop, and 100 years ago, people are eating meat with maggots in it.
Or people are mad because they got a hair on your plate. Bitch, you're lucky your meat doesn't stink.
Right?
So just throw some fucking ketchup on it and call it a day. That's what they were doing.
That was the solution.
So that's why he created ketchup, was to mask the rotting meat that they were eating. Oh. And he put it in a clear bottle, in a clear glass bottle, so that people could see what it was. Because before they were in this brown bottle that you didn't really know and you just kept it stored away. Well, he wanted you to be able to see it and recognize it. He was also responsible for adding regulations and rules when it came to making food, because back then
there was none.
Yeah, we were just eating whatever we could.
Right.
Which is insane on its own too. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind, that it was just 100 years ago
that we were eating this kind of stuff.
Right. There is somebody on this planet that was alive when that happened.
Well, I mean, you know, like Betty White, she was alive before sliced bread, literally.
That's insane.
Isn't it? Isn't it to think that?
That's crazy. And what a genius, the person who decided to just cut the bread.
Right. Because do you know how annoying and hard it is to slice a loaf of bread?
I do. And you always end up squishing it.
You end up squishing it. You got uneven pieces that are lopsided. And then next thing you know, your whole loaf of bread is gone because you cut your slices too big.
Right, right. So
I also think back then, bread wasn't used for sandwiches. It was used for like a supplement at dinner to soak up all that rotten meat.
Ugh, the fucking meat.
Yeah.
You should have seen the three of them at dinner. Heinz and his brother and his sister-in-law just pouring this brown shit on top of it as they're eating it. And they were wealthier.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what the poor people were eating.
They weren't.
They weren't.
You know what? The poor people were probably safer because they couldn't afford the rotting meat, so they were just eating potatoes.
Yeah,
and
right.
Cabbage.
That's a good point. They were probably a little healthier. I just poured Monster all down my...
down your boob?
Yeah.
So, I'm jealous that you have a Monster right now because right before we started, I was like, oh, Sabrina was here 2 weekends ago. Maybe she left a Monster somewhere. Damn, girl, no. No, you didn't. So...
No Monsters left behind, girl.
And I opened up, and you remember that cooler we had packed?
Oh, yeah.
So I went to go open it, see if there was a monster in there. Well, we apparently have not cleaned it out since you were here.
Oh, God.
So it smells like rotting meat.
What was in it?
Beers, something in a baggie. I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Oh, cheese.
Yeah, it was nasty. I opened it. I looked for like 2 seconds, couldn't see the monster. I got hit with the smell, and I shut it, and I was like, Dion's got to take care of this.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Nobody offered to clean it out.
I'll tell you, coolers in our house, they never get cleaned.
No, why is that? Because nobody thinks about it.
Yeah, you get so tired by the end of the day, you drag it into the garage.
And you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes.
It never does. That's why I refuse to buy a Yeti cooler, because it will be a $300 garbage can.
Yep. A waste of money.
Yeah. So we never clean coolers. It's so fucking gross. And I get so annoyed with Nate when he's, I'm going to buy this new cooler because we really need one. We have 4 of them in the garage. You just hate all of them now.
Right, because you've let it go into shit and you don't want to clean it.
Right, that's exactly right.
That's pretty much what it boils down to.
So now when I was younger, I remember in our garage there was this smell starting. Like it just started to fucking smell. And at this time, we didn't have a crawl space under our house. It was just a slab. So we knew there wasn't like a dead animal involved, but my dad thought that maybe something had crawled in under the lawn equipment or tool bench and had died. So now we're like tearing apart the garage and pulling everything out in the driveway, searching for this rotting smell. And he opens up his tackle box.
Oh no, what crawled in?
No, my sisters had left bait and closed it up and so it was rotting shrimp.
Oh my God, that is the worst smell.
It was terrible.
Oh, you ever want to piss someone off at work? Here's what you do. You take some shrimp and you put it in a Ziploc baggie, and then you tape it to underneath their desk. And then you open it just slightly so it doesn't actually fall out. They won't ever know it's there, but they'll be like, what the fuck? Where is that smell coming from? Where the fuck is that smell coming from? They will never find it. They will tear their desk apart before they find it.
That's hysterical.
Awesome.
I got a list of people I want to do that to.
There you go.
A list of them. Except... Yes. Nowadays it'll end up on the news, employee gets fired for taping
raw fish.
And be like, oh, well, I got this idea by listening to Not a Safe Space podcast. Be like, oh, fuck.
Advisory warning, do not attempt this at home.
They didn't watch the fucking documentary, but they sure taped that shrimp underneath somebody's desk.
Right? We are not held responsible for your bad decisions.
Right. So, I just ran to, before we left here, or before we started off our podcast today, I just ran up to Adam and Eve and grabbed myself a new bullet.
Nice. And
next to Adam and Eve, of course, next to most sex shops is a strip club.
Well, of course.
So
the strippers have got to go next door to buy an outfit.
Oh, yeah. They had, in this one, which was very nice, by the way. It was a very nice place, but I knew exactly what I wanted. But they had, like, teddies and stuff in there. Mm-hmm. Like, nightgowns and stuff. Do you buy those?
No.
I don't either.
I don't. My husband wants to see me naked.
Mine, too.
He's like, why do you guys buy this shit? He's like, does it make you feel good? And we're like, yeah. He's like, okay, well, good. Then you're buying it for you because you're not buying it for me because I want to get you out of that as quickly as possible.
Let me tell you what I did, so I'll tell you, my husband's the same way. He doesn't want any of it on. He'll lift it up around my neck and he's like, I don't want it You don't need any clothes on.
Then you're laying there with fucking lace all over your face. You're
right.
I can't breathe. What the fuck?
Right, try to get it off. So, what I did buy this bodysuit that was like lace and see-through. You know, like it looks like a bathing suit, bodysuit. Okay. But it was like lace and see-through. And this is back when I was still drinking, of course, because I had to get the balls to do it. We came home drunk and we're gonna have sex, and I'm like, okay, hold on. I'm gonna go put this thing on. And I put it on and I danced for him.
Okay.
Oh my God. The next morning, he was like, he said, nice dance. And I was like, shut up. I was hoping that we would not mention that.
Right.
I don't think I could do it sober. I don't find myself sexy, and I have a hard time taking myself seriously. So if you ever notice, like if I'm dancing on the dance floor, I make stupid faces because I feel awkward being sexy.
Really?
I can't imagine what a dumbass I look like that night. But I mean, it worked. We had successful sex and it was a great time.
Hey, there you
ask you to do it again?
No, I don't think he would. Not if you were all dressed up sexy, dancing and making dumb ass faces.
I probably would.
You're like, I'm so sexy.
Yes. I'm telling you, like my mouth is like, if you've ever seen a picture, like I'm like, yeah, eyes.
Are you preparing for a blow?
Right. Go, hey. So I guess I never thought about that. He literally has never asked me to do that again.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, it's probably terrible.
Scary.
Probably terrible. So, but the point of this is that had me thinking about when back on episode 1, we were talking about strippers.
Yes.
Or going to a strip club, and the both of us said that we were okay going, and then we made some comments about other women not going or men because they're insecure.
Right.
So I thought that this would be a good time to talk a little bit about insecurity.
Okay.
So I have 2 separate topics on insecurity.
Okay.
One is your own self-insecurity, right?
Right.
Because there's definitely somebody not going into that building because of their own insecurity. Then there's insecurity in between 2 couples.
Okay, yeah.
They might be 100% secure with themselves, but not secure with their own relationship.
That makes sense.
So that's the 2 train of thoughts I have on it. I know you've got a little bit of information that I can't wait to hear about. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell me, you take over.
Okay, so when we talked about insecurities, I decided to do a little bit of research. So we could basically get a foundation of insecurities in women. And then what I found was actually really, really interesting. And this article basically says that all women have a need for security. That basically where this comes from is from our subconscious, that because in nature, we have a need to be protected, which normally comes from a man. Because we are smaller than men. We are fragiler than them. We have pregnancies. They don't have these things that make them vulnerable. And then, so it went out, but it said that we have studied our physical security. So if you've ever noticed that, like when you were dating, most women have a certain type of man, right? So I tend to like big men, 6 foot taller, broad stance kind of thing, very much like my husband. That is my physical security because I am 5'3", will not mention the weight because that plays into the other insecurity. But the bigger man makes me feel secure. Because if I know that we're walking down the street together and shit happens, he's fucking there and will protect me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. Right. So physical security.
Right. So, but what they were saying that hasn't been really touched upon or researched is emotional insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you've ever noticed that young girls before puberty, they are just like the boys. They are outgoing, they're talkative, they're like, oh, I'm going to put on a show, we're going to have a great time, and they don't care. They're right there with everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is puberty hits in. And that's when the hormones start kicking in, right? And then you notice there's a change in women or in girls around this time when you compare them to men. Make sense?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And basically what this article is saying is that all women have low-grade anxiety.
Okay.
So we are always alert. We're reading our surroundings, people's facial expressions. We have that gut intuition, that women's sixth sense.
Right.
Right? And that comes from low-grade anxiety. The problem that we're having in our society is that when puberty hits, the little girls go, okay, I'm feeling this way. There has to be something wrong. Either it's something wrong with me or it's something wrong with the other people.
Okay.
So this little girl is getting anxiety. She doesn't understand why, doesn't know what the hell's going on with her body. So if she feels like it's her, she's going to start trying to fix herself,
Mm-hmm.
solve this problem, right? It's nobody else's fault. It's her. She's like, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm short, I don't have big enough boobs, my butt's too big. What's going on?
Right.
So she's going to focus on fixing herself to this perfection to solve this problem that really isn't a problem.
Right. Okay.
The other thing that happens is that if they do the opposite, where they go, well, all of you motherfuckers are wrong because I'm fucking perfect, right? Then she ends up becoming the mean girl. Do you know what I mean? She's
Okay.
like, fuck you, da-da-da, don't talk, you know what I mean? And so they're both wrong. So what we do in our society is when boys go through puberty, there's a surge of aggression and violence in them that they want to express, and a lot of sexual desire, right?
Mm-hmm.
When boys are going through puberty. And you raised a son.
Right.
Well, what do boys have? Boys have sports. Boys have a society that go, you just can't beat the shit out of anyone you want because you want to. And they conform. We also have war. As bad as that may sound, our society encourages men to go off to war, which feeds their aggression.
Okay. Yeah.
And then the sexual desire, obviously they need to be taught not to just go off and take whatever you want, but they conform. For girls, there is not an outlet. There's not an outlet. Nobody sits a girl down and go, you're feeling this way because your body is protecting you. This is normal. Instead, we tell her she's being too emotional. We tell her she's being too sensitive.
Right.
We're like, shut that fucking shit up. Like, fucking wrap it all up. And then we wonder why our girls are fucking cutting into themselves, trying to make themselves appear something that they're not, and there's no self-confidence.
Right.
And it extends into adulthood. And then you have these girls who grow up into women who have children who don't teach the lessons they weren't taught.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary. And we have birth control, and we have antidepressants, and we have sleeping pills, and all of these things that block our natural hormones. So, our hormones are meant to protect us. So if we are feeling bad or anxious when we're normal, that is a key indicator to us to either get out of that situation because something is wrong or bad, or to get away from those particular people.
Right. And what we've been told is, to not feel like that. And then that's how women you'll hear women that have been attacked or hurt, and they say, I had this bad feeling.
Right. And people go, oh, you're just being emotional. You're being too sensitive. And
Right.
right. And that sort of stuff. And that's the wrong response. You know, when Dion and I first started dating, because I have a very good gut, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the anxiety. When my stomach goes off, I don't give a shit where we are or what we're doing. I go, we're going home. Don't
Mm-hmm.
ask any questions. This is what it is. And he goes, okay, I can agree. I understand. You have that sixth sense. Let's go.
Right.
Because I have had situations where I was out at a bar, and this was way, way before Dion. I was in my 20s. And I was out at a bar, and I looked at my group of friends, and I went, we got to go home, like, now. They're
Mm-hmm.
like, no. And I said, no, we have to fucking leave right now. I started throwing a fit.
Uh-huh.
They were like, okay, let's fucking go. So we all went home. And then we had heard later from some other friends who wouldn't leave. There was a freaking all-out bar fight.
Oh, okay.
So like 20 people got into a bar fight, and it was a huge ordeal, and people got hurt.
Right.
And they were like, holy shit. They were like, how the hell did you know that? I go, I didn't. I just knew my gut. I knew something was wrong. And I was like, we gotta go.
Right. And you know what you're probably good at, and you're not even, you might not even be aware that you're doing it, is that you're reading the room.
Right.
It is
right.
that there's certain conversations, and I'm kind of the same way. I watch what's going on in different groups and how this person might come over and mouth off, and Nate doesn't see any of it.
Correct. No, but they're not desiring to see any of it.
Right.
We are, not them.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty interesting. And do you think that our bodies are made that way because we are, and women, don't punch me in the face for this, but essentially the weaker of the two? That
Yes, it
so
is.
it's our defense mechanism is
Correct.
to have sixth sense to get us out of these situations.
Correct, because we are physically the weaker sex. We really need to just admit, and I know all the feminists are going to fucking hate me for this, but we are physically weaker to men. That does not mean we are, stupider than them. That doesn't mean we can't be more successful than men. It doesn't mean any of those sort of things, but we have to admit where we are. Now, are there some men that you might be stronger than other men, because he's small and short or whatever, and you know what I mean? But on a whole, women are less stronger than men. But there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, there's not. And in that article, does it say, so when this transition starts to happen to young women, how should we deal with it?
So we really need to sit down with our girls. We need to go, look, you're feeling this way, and that's okay. That's normal. But when you start to think that there's something wrong with you, that's not right.
Right.
And I'm not, and it really doesn't say what the outlet should be for women on this, and I don't know what the correct answer is for that, but women need something, and it's not home ec.
Right. Well, I think so. One of our other friends and we were talking about this because, we both try to live a semi-healthy lifestyle. She is way beyond me. She's a personal trainer and doesn't eat potato chips or processed foods and preservatives and all that other stuff.
Right. And she's way ahead of you because you're a pickle.
Yes, exactly. So, but I try to, obviously I'm sitting in my workout gear. I worked out this morning, had scrambled eggs for breakfast, turkey meatballs with zucchini noodles for lunch. And then I'll allow myself to eat more variety and fun stuff maybe at night after dinner. But I always know, as long as I've set myself up between exercise, a good breakfast, a good lunch, I'm good for the rest of the day. I don't have to restrict myself to eating only a keto diet or something like that. Like I refuse to live like that. And so we were talking about, because we both have daughters, how we manage their body image and a healthy lifestyle. Because I am somebody that today stands in front of everybody as 5'9" and 170 pounds. I'm a size 8 and 10, and I'm sure everybody, like, this is all great. However, I was 5'9" and 300 pounds and a size 24.
Okay.
And I know emotionally what that feels like. More than physically, how badly that hurts a woman's heart and mind and soul emotionally. And I see my daughter, who has the same body shape as I do. We're tall women with larger hands, larger chest. Like I don't have big boobs naturally. These are fake, but I have a large chest area. My shoulders are wide, and I'm always going to be bigger than the girl next to me. Always.
Yeah.
You know, a typical person that is 5'9", I think on that stupid weight thing, says I should be 130 pounds. I'll never be that.
And I don't understand where that comes from, because I'm 5'3" and I'm supposed to be 130 pounds, which I'm not, by the way. So you know how, you used to be heavier and now you're skinnier, and you understand how that feels, where I'm the opposite. So for me, I have always been the skinny one. I have always been the smaller one. And now all of a sudden I have jumped up. I'm like 45, almost 50 pounds overweight. And it is a whole new concept. And trying to deal with that is really hard, especially when, for women, a lot of our security comes from our image.
Right. It does, 100%. And I think, that's where I struggle with my daughter of, I want her to have a healthy relationship with food. I want her to have a healthy relationship with activity, but I want her to love herself above anything. We have to love the fact that our bodies are different. Her and I will never be the skinniest girl on the block. We're never going to be these cute little petite things. It's always going to be more difficult for us to fit into certain kind of clothes.
Right.
And I always tell her, like, embrace that. I embrace the fact that I'm tall. I love it.
Yep.
Now, there's a lot of things I can't wear certain rompers and all of that because it's going to give me a camel toe, and I just have to fucking deal with that.
But you know what? That's okay, because I cannot wear a romper either, because I got a fucking Kim Kardashian ass back there that won't allow me to wear a romper either.
Right. So it's,
and I'm like half the size of you.
Yeah, I know. All my friends, by the way, are all shorter than me. I don't know if I have any taller friends, which might say something about me. That might be a power issue on my part.
Well, female friends, because Dion's taller than you.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about my girlfriends. So, it's a balance of trying to raise her where I don't want her to end up where I was, but I also don't want to give her a complex about it, right? I want her to enjoy her life, enjoy being a child, enjoy being a girl. So it's finding this balance of, it's okay to have a belly right now, because guess what? You're only 8 or 9 years old. And it's okay that you're bigger than your friends, because they always say that, like, oh, she's so big. Well, she is big. I'm big.
You come from a big family. You're
Right.
big boned. So back when we were growing up, that was called big boned. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
You're just big boned. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a grandmother who, in her prime, she was pretty damn close to 6 foot tall.
Oh,
and
wow.
she's a big woman. She was broad, but you got to also think about it too. When you're that tall, you're supposed to be a bit bigger, because there's more of you to support.
Right.
Right? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you don't see super skinny skyscrapers, right? You got to put some fucking bulk on it so you don't get blown over.
You gotta have a foundation.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Right now, I'd like to get rid of some of my foundation, but I'm not a skyscraper.
Right. Well, so that what you said about, gaining weight and how your body has changed, that, and I'm the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. This is how my insecurities come into play. For the first time ever in my life, I 100% love my body. It's not perfect. I'm not at my lowest weight, but I love it. I literally, when I walk into the shower and I walk past my mirror, I'm like, damn girl, you look good. And I'm okay with it. My insecurity comes from what people think of me. Okay. Because I think that I'm worried that they see this thing that looks all perfect on the outside, not perfect, but in my mind, I am perfect, right? That they're judging me of, oh, look at her. Doesn't she think she's all that? Doesn't she think she's better than us? Doesn't she think this? Oh, she thinks this. And that fucks with my head because I do know what it is to be a big girl. I do know, and I always feel like I'll always have that. I know what it's like to not attend events because I didn't want to be the fat girl there, to purposely get into a fight with my husband so I didn't have to go. I know what that feels like. And I just worry that people will think, oh, well, doesn't she think she's better than us now? And like I said, so my boobs are fake, right? I got my boobs done, not because of anything else besides I lost this weight and they were gone. I was never a big chested girl. And when you lose all this weight, you lose your boobs too. And so I had
thing to go.
Yeah, I had boobs put on because I wanted them. Now, when I had them put on, I truly thought that I'd be wearing V-neck shirts and these lacy things all over the place and show them off. I don't do it.
No.
Typically, I'm in like a crew neck t-shirt, or crew neck dresses, or dresses that go all the way up, or maybe a little bit of a V, but I don't have my boobs out because I think I'm worried about what other people think.
And that's a fair point because you still have the emotional insecurity, probably from your puberty.
Right.
That you're worried about what other people are thinking of you.
Right.
Even you've, in a sense, fixed the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you still have the mentality of, I'm a fat girl. Where are they going to think of me?
Right.
Right? Even though you're not there anymore. Right? And so that's really hard. And that's what we have to train our girls to go, that's not correct. Because I bet you the people you think are judging you, if you were to actually go up to them and ask them, they would tell you, no, not even close to judging you. Probably some of them would look at you and go, I fucking admire you.
Right.
And you'd be shocked. Because let me tell you this. Though. I can tell you, I've had conversations with Dion, and I'm like, fucking Sabrina is a badass.
Aww,
like, I admire you. You fucking work full time. You're a badass at your job, which is a male-dominant industry, right? Mm-hmm. You fucking take care of 2 kids, a household, your husband. Like, you threw this amazing graduation party for Ethan, and like, it was just, I looked at Dan and I went, how does she do it? Like, seriously, I was like in awe. He goes, well, she fucking works. He's like, get your ass to work, basically. You know what I mean? But you're just inspiring.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I think that, so they tell you before so I've had bariatric surgery, which you know, and most of my friends know, but I had gastric bypass about 6 years ago. And they warn you that you will lose friends because people find your weight comforting to them.
Yes.
And they are comforted in knowing that you are the big girl and they're not.
Right.
And I'll tell you that it is true, and not just friends, but family members, that instead of celebrating and appreciating and enjoying what a happier person I am, because I'm 100%, so where my meanness came from was being overweight and insecure, right? Because hurt people hurt people.
Correct. And you had to compensate.
Right. And you have to protect yourself because you're used to people calling you fat and ugly and this and that. And so you have to build this wall up to be a person where words don't fucking hurt me.
Right.
And I can hurt you 10 times more. So that's where this toughness came in from. And I've been able to let that person go. And I feel like there's some people that are like, she's just this fucking bitch and she thinks she's better than us now that she's lost weight. I've done the work and I've earned the right to wear a V-neck shirt and be proud of it, not worry about, and it's not men. This is the thing that drives me crazy. It's women hating on each other.
Right.
All while we're telling each other to build each other up.
Yep, that happens all the time. They're, and I gotta admit it, I've done it too. I mean, What did I say at the New Kids on the Block concert? I looked around at all these women and I go, what the hell happened to our generation? Everybody was in fucking flip-flops and I'm like, ponytails and a mess, and I'm going, where'd our self-respect go? So I was judging every single body there except for us because we were in heels and looked good. But secretly I was like, shit, I should have wore flip-flops.
Right.
Comfortable.
Right. Well, so there was an incident when I went to the Philippines with my family 3 years ago with two of my older sisters and a younger sister and my mom. It was before I'd cut my hair, so I had long blonde hair, and my mom, and I knew I wanted to get my hair cut. Well, it is a big deal about the way you look in the Philippines, and my mother loves that I'm tall with blue eyes and long hair and skinny, right? So she is the one who said, you don't cut your hair until this trip. I want to see you in your two-piece bikini on the beach. She was so excited. So my older sister, and there were two of us because two of them were too heavy to wear bikinis, whatever. And then the younger two, we could. Now, both of us exercise, run, eat health, all this stuff. So one sister gets there early, and she's gone shopping with my mom, and they bought this sarong thing, like this fucking scarf thing.
Right.
To tie around you, which, by the way, is supposed to be one size fit all. It's not one size fit all. A skinny 8 or 10 in the U.S. is a plus size in the Philippines.
Oh, that's with any Asian clothing manufacturer. I went to go look one time and I looked at the conversion rate and I needed like an XXXXXXXXXL. And I was like, well, fuck this.
Right.
Like, they don't apparently have enough fabric in that country to cover my ass.
Exactly right. So they buy this sarong for me, and my mother has me, try it on over my clothes, and my older sister's all excited for me. And they're like, we want you to wear this for beach day. And I'm like, okay, cool. So here it's beach day. One sister is in a pair of, those swimming board shorts and a bikini top. I'm in a bikini with this sarong thing tied around my waist as best as I could. So we are both showing just as much body.
Right.
And we're hanging out in front of my auntie's house before the jeepneys come to pick us up. They come, we go to the beach, whatever. When we get back, I hear from my other sister that the two older sisters were talking about how inappropriate I was and what a slut I was for wearing this bikini on this beach. And look at her, doesn't she think she is all that? And I said, what about my younger sister?
Right.
She was in the same fucking thing I was. The difference is she was never big and then small, right? So they were perfectly fine with me when I was fat Sabrina. When I became thinner, now, well, Sabrina thinks she's too good for us. Sabrina thinks this. Sabrina thinks that.
Right.
Fuck you. My mindset hasn't changed. Your opinion of me has.
Right. Because your personality didn't change. You are who you are, whether you're 300 pounds or 150 pounds.
Right. And you set me up. You went to the store and bought this, encouraged me to wear it just so you could go back and talk about it.
Rip you apart for it.
Right.
And did you say that to their faces?
No, because by the time I found out about it, we had all gone different ways and all of this. Now, I did bring it up to my mom, and I was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything wrong. And for them, especially the one sister that I let live with me for 9 months, so she knows that I didn't just have gastric bypass and magically lost weight. I exercise, I eat healthy, I've done the fucking work.
Right.
For her to sit there and act like an asshole to me, because she could have done the same thing. Let's be real. They all have insurance. Go do it.
Right.
When I told my one sister that she should go and do it because now she's had knee surgery, she can't walk, she has 3 kids, she said, well, I have a daughter and I don't want her to think that my body image matters. So what she's saying to me is that's why I did it, because my body image matters. Not because of how I felt mentally about the weight.
And technically, you see the warning eyes, technically, you're both right. Because the body image does affect the mentality.
Right.
So basically, you went, I don't like the way I look. It does not make me feel good, so I want to go and make these changes. They, on the other hand, are going, I don't like the way I look, but I don't want to do the work, so I'm going to make someone else feel like shit. So this goes way back to is it me or is it somebody else? And it determines the type of person. You internalized all your insecurities to make yourself feel better, right? And then your sisters fucking expanded out to everybody else's wrong, and they are now the mean girls.
Yeah, for sure. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. My microphone just died, so I just unplugged it. Yeah, I agree with you. And the thing that drives me, so even though my physical appearance bothered me, the reason the moment I decided to get this surgery was because my best friend and I had gone on a family vacation with our family. Mm-hmm. She had had the surgery a year beforehand. So I am 300 pounds with a 6-month-old baby, and we're in Tennessee trying to go hiking up and down these waterfalls. And it was a rainy day, and I couldn't do it. I could not get all the way down the steps to spend this time with my family. I had to hand my baby off to my best friend so that she could go and do it. Right. And from that moment, I said, I'm done. I'm going to do it. I want to live a better life. I want to play on the playground. I want to have these experiences and stop being held back. And that's why I did it.
Right.
And it's just crazy to me. You would think that as soon as somebody gets this done, right? So you go from being 300 pounds to, I think it was 145 pounds at my lowest. And you would think that every insecurity then ends. But we've done so much emotional damage to ourselves.
Yep.
That now you have to work your way out of it.
Yeah, you do. So, I don't know if your doctor required it, but they should do this, is that when you have gastric bypass surgery, you should also be required to go through therapy as well.
You are.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yep. They require you to take a test, which basically asks, like, do you hear voices in your head? How do you feel in public? All this other stuff, just to find out where your mental well-being is. Right. And then you have to talk to a therapist after the results come back.
Okay.
So, what was funny is as the moments I had of insecurity about my weight, I always still had a very big complex of I'm Sabrina, I'm the fucking best, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, right? Because you have to build up this attitude of this is what it is and nobody can fuck with me. Mm-hmm. So there would be nights where I'd go out with Nate and then the next morning look at pictures and I'm like, man, who's that fat girl you were hanging out with all night? Because I didn't see myself as big as I was all the time. So for what the therapist had said at the time was, well, this will be a good transition for you because you'll be able to see the weight loss, because a lot of weight loss patients still see themselves fat. Okay. So she said, at least you'll be able to look at the pictures the next day and be like, oh, damn, I look good. Right. So, that part, but I don't know, it's so weird. It's such a mix of insecure. I think, people believe that if a woman looks a certain way, they should be 100% okay with themselves. And that's truly not the way we all are. No, it's not, because we have emotional insecurities. Women are judged on their bodies. We're judged on our looks. We can't be too skinny. You can't be too fat. You can't be too smart. Can't be too dumb. There is a fine line. You get women who go, oh, you have to have children. Why aren't you having children? What's wrong with you if you don't want to have children? And then when you do have children, you get, oh, you're staying at home, or why aren't you going back to work? What kind of example are you setting for your children? And most of this type of rhetoric comes from other women. It does not come from men. It does not come from men. Most conversations I have had with men, they're like, we like you for you. I don't care if you're fucking 100 pounds or 500 pounds. I like you for you. You want to stay home with the babies? Great. You want to go to work and we put the kids in daycare? That's great too. They are not as judgmental as the women are. And as I am getting older, I am finding women are our own worst enemies. 100%. I would 100%. rather have, except for you and the few female friends I have, because I have never been one to have a lot of female friends. Mm-hmm. Despite the fact that I'm in a sorority and I'm in female social groups, right? But my core female friends have always been very small compared to my male friends. Right. I've been the same way because I feel more comfortable with men because I share the same sense of humor, the point of view. I'm able to laugh shit off. I'm able to make fun of stuff. I don't take things very seriously. Right. I'm a little high maintenance when it comes to being girly, but I just feel more comfortable with men. I feel like men are less judgy. Totally. Than women. And this is the thing that drives me crazy about where women are today and how they're demanding, well, we want this, we want this, we want this. Well, why don't we start at home, guys? Why don't we start with our neighbors? Yes. And I talk to more of my male neighbors than I do my female neighbors because none of them will come out and talk. You never see any of them. No, and that could also be part of their own insecurity. They're scared to come outside of their house, whether physically or metaphorically. Did I say that right? I hope I said that right. Yeah, you did. Yeah. So, and I can tell you, I used to be like that. So before I met Dion in my 30s, I had bought my own home. It was pretty successful in my career. I was debt free except for my house, like really fucking, but I did not interact with my neighbors. Mm-hmm. I drove to work. I came home, went into my garage, and nobody saw me. I didn't mess with my neighbors. I really didn't want to have relationships with my neighbors, right? Yeah. And you've met my neighbors. They're awesome, right? So at the other house, and we're still friends today. But it was interesting because they knew the moment I had a boyfriend and that it was serious because Dion moved in. And when Dion moved in, he started talking to the neighbors, right? And I wasn't. And that's also part of the thing with women.
when girls are younger before their puberty, they talk to everybody just like men do.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't have a real concept of fear or the anxiety. And then after puberty, all of a sudden, men or strangers start becoming the enemy. And this is the problem. This article also says, and this is the biggest problem women are having, is that we have basically taken this anxiety and exploded it. Everything is our enemy. The workplace is our enemy. Men are our enemies. The neighbors, everybody is your freaking enemy.
Right.
So now you're like, oh, I can't go anywhere. But then we're like equal rights. But women don't, and Dan and I got into, and he really loved this article. And then we started talking about how men aren't excluded from anything. How women have been throughout history, right? We have to have a separate golf team for women. We have to have a separate basketball team for women. We have to have, they have gentlemen's only clubs. We don't have a female only club. And I talked to Dion and he goes, well, why aren't women making their own groups? And I go, well, technically, we're not making our own groups because we're too fucking scared to go out into the world. So no wonder we don't have these organizations that are women only, that are not necessarily feminine tasks. I'd love to know if there are female hunting groups or female shooting teams. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm guilty of it as well, where I attended a dinner last year that was just for women in business in the career field I'm in. And it was a dinner, and earlier that day we had all had a business meeting together, right? A sales meeting. I hadn't spoken to any of those women at that table earlier in the afternoon. I spoke to all my male colleagues because I'm cool with those guys and I'm comfortable with those guys. But the lady sitting next to me, I didn't say a single word to her. I could tell you what kind of shoes she was wearing because I noticed.
You noticed how she looked.
Right, but I never even spoke to her because I don't know. Like, I need to do a better job of engaging with the women as well.
And I'm sure while you looked at her shoes, you made a judgment about her without actually knowing her.
Oh yeah, her shoes were pretty awesome.
So I'm sure you were like, fucking bitch.
I'm thinking, she's doing pretty well.
So here's a thing that I don't know if you know this, and it's really interesting. Do you know why when you cook crabs, now you're from Virginia, you know how you eat blue crabs, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know why you have to hold the pot down when you're cooking them?
No.
Okay. The reason why you have to hold the pot down is because male crabs, which are the best ones, will literally create a ladder and allow everybody to go up to get out. They will work together as a unit to get everybody out. Female crabs, on the other hand, you don't have to hold the pot down. You can literally put all female crabs, boil them, and fucking walk away.
They'll just lay there and die?
No, each one of them literally crawls on top of each other and pulls another one down and holds other crabs down so they can get up. There is no teamwork among female crabs. And I really believe biologically, a lot of women feel other women are competition, whether they are or not.
100%.
A career or their man or whatever. Like, we fucking bow up and we're like, no, this is mine, da-da-da-da. When that's not the situation, and that other woman could be extremely helpful to you in any other aspect. She could be a therapist and want to help you with your relationship, or she could be a key customer in your career. But you never know it because you immediately fucking hold her down in that boiling pot and you both are going to burn alive.
That is fucking crazy and such a great analogy, and is 100% true, right? Because I think that we as women see somebody else's victory or in win as our loss.
Exactly.
Rather than a win for us as a whole.
Oh, yep. A win is a win for everybody. Like Nate says, a win is a win, right? For some reason or another, women have this mentality that there's not enough success to go around.
Yeah.
If they're succeeding, that means I'm not succeeding. And if they're succeeding and I'm not succeeding, then what am I doing? I either need to figure out how to destroy them. It's not what are they doing to succeed that I should replicate to make myself better or to help grow my career. Mm-hmm. But most women don't think like that.
That's so accurate, and makes me want to have crabs and watch and see who's pulling each other down.
Oh, well, you know what we should do next time you guys come down? We'll go get a bushel of crabs somewhere. And freaking, when fall comes and it's nice and cool, we'll sit out on the patio deck and have some crabs and some butter and vinegar and beer, but you'll have fake beer. Yes, it is a blast.
Because people in Florida don't really do that. They don't like blue crabs. They think it's too much work.
Yeah. Well, not my family, because we came from Virginia, so we fucking love it. But yeah, we could totally do that.
I'm down. Yes. So this makes me think about too. So when you said, about men, is that like in my marriage, for example, Nate 100% loved me at 300 pounds, the same at 145, 170, wherever I'm at right now. He's never wavered in that. Yep. He's never called me fat, where, I was married before, and my ex-husband, when you're fat, that's the first thing people want to say. Well, you're just a fat bitch, and you're ugly, and you got a fupa and all this other shit, right? Like, they're fucking mean. And when Nate and I first met, I'm coming off of a divorce, or I'm still getting a divorce, and I learned a different way to fight, and it was terrible, and I was a terrible person to him, and he never once threw that in my face. Now, sure, he called me a bitch, but guess what? I was being a bitch, right? But he could have easily said, "You're a fat bitch, get out of my face," and he never said it. And because of that, there's no insecurity when it comes to Nate and I.
You're right.
Nate and I have a true, honest relationship with one another. I think that security is built with trust, right? And so when it comes to men and women and us being able to go into this strip club, is I know that it gets left there. There's nothing that's going to affect our marriage, that I trust this man with my heart 110%.
Yep.
And because of that, I have security within my marriage and with this friendship that I don't have probably with anybody else. I know that he knows my weakest moments and my weakest, I don't even know what the word is called, but he knows where he could really hurt me, and he's never done that.
Right. Exactly.
And because of that, we can go to any strip club we want in the world, whether I was 300 pounds, which we probably did more often when I was overweight, or 170. I was down for it no matter what, because I was secure with my husband.
Exactly. And that's the emotional security. That's not physical security.
Right.
And that comes from finding the right partner, but knowing you and loving you first, and finding someone who loves you for you. It's not a hookup. It's not, oh, we'll just see where this goes, and that happens over time. It really does. And it's a beautiful thing.
It is, especially when it's been tested, right? It's not like Nate and I are perfect by any means. I've messed up. I've never cheated on my husband, but I've done things that I shouldn't have done. The difference is I'm a truthful person, and we talk it out, and there's nothing more than I hate than hurting this man's feelings. I hate it. I hate to see him hurt altogether. And he feels the same way about me and supports and lifts me up the same way that I see Dion support and lift you up, right? Like,
yep.
It builds this security within the two of us that I know that we're good, and the two of us can face anything together, and we're going to be all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's just our own individual insecurities
that you have to work on individually, right? You know, right. He can help you as much as he can help you.
Right. Now, this brought up, there was a conversation between our two single friends this weekend. Where we were talking about whether or not you would be okay, you as in just anybody, any female, being okay with your husband or boyfriend going out to dinner with an ex-girlfriend or out to lunch. And they asked me, well, I'm going to ask you first. What's your answer to it?
Not a fucking chance in hell.
Really?
Not a fucking chance in hell. And let me explain to you why.
Okay.
I do not go out with my ex-boyfriends or my ex-girlfriends. I do not maintain relationships with my exes. And they are an ex for a reason. So if there is some reason your ex is involved, unless there is a child, there is no reason that person should still be in your life. And if they are, it is a fucking red flag, and you should run in the opposite direction.
Really?
That is, oh, absolutely. I only handled Dion's ex-wife because of Colton up until a certain point. Colton's now 22.
Right.
When he was underage, it was a different situation.
Yeah.
But did Dion go to lunch with his ex-wife? Fuck no. Fuck no.
What if it was just somebody he slept with?
No, that's an ex. No, especially not. No. No.
So, I'll tell you what, I alone am friends with women that have slept with my husband. I have friends on Facebook that are women that have slept with my husband. And I think these women are great. And I don't have an issue with it whatsoever because...
So you'd be okay with him going out without you with them?
He has. There's somebody... Yeah, there's somebody that let us borrow this projector. And I can't remember her name, but every year she would let us borrow this projector. And one year she was like, hey, can you want to meet up for lunch? And so Nate told me, hey, I'm meeting so-and-so for lunch. And I was like, okay, cool.
Did it click that it was an ex at that point?
Yeah, I knew who she was.
Okay.
It didn't bother me. Like, it doesn't bother me.
No, sorry. Nope.
And like when I go to Texas in a couple weeks, I'm having dinner with a guy that I haven't seen in 16 years. I've known him since I was 20. He was a huge part of how I was able to stay in Florida after my divorce and not run away. He provided me with, as a friend, he provided me with friends and a life outside of my ex-husband. But we also slept together.
Okay, but was that a real relationship, or was that mainly I'm a friend and been a friend for a really long time and we just happened to sleep together once?
No, we slept together a lot.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, so he had a girlfriend in another state and I was dating people and sleeping with him and even dating Nate at some point. Like the lines blurred a little bit because Nate and I weren't committed. And it wasn't until Nate and I committed to one another that the two of us stopped sleeping together. And then he got out of the Navy and he moved away. So I haven't seen him in 16 years, 15 years maybe, 15, 14, something like that. So when I go to Texas, I'm having dinner with him. And I asked Nate, I was like, hey, do you mind if I go see so-and-so? And his first response was, well, fuck that dude. And then he was like, yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
But I'm going to dinner with this guy that I used to have lots of sex with. That it just doesn't, like, that doesn't bother me at all.
No.
And it doesn't bother Nate either,
Which that works for you guys.
right.
And that's perfect. But for me, I'm like, no, there's lines. There's lines. Like, no, unless there's a specific reason for that encounter to happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was one point, because one of Dion's exes was basically in his same industry, that there was a potential that she may end up working with Dion. And this was a couple years ago. Do you know what Dion said?
What?
He said to his boss, goes, look, you got to make your own decision, and I understand this. However, this may create a conflict, and I really need to talk to my wife. Because in his business, it's very much, the wives are very much included in all the social things and that sort of stuff, as you know. So, yeah. So Dion comes to me and goes, my ex may be possibly working for the company. How do you feel about that? And that sort of stuff. And I gave him this look of, are you fucking kidding me right now? Because of how they ended, and it wasn't pretty and all that sort of stuff. And I said, look, if she goes to work for you, she goes to work with you. These are my these are my rules.
Right.
You got to go out to dinner with her. You better have an engineer with you, or somebody else, or I'm going to dinner with you, or you know what I mean? I'm putting up the guidelines. Now, luckily, she didn't ended up working there, which saved everything. But I was like, no, unless there's a reason, there's no.
Now, how do you deal with him traveling and being gone? And does he have female coworkers?
Yes, he does. Yep. So he has female vendors. And yeah, he has to go to dinner with them, along with other people as well. And so that sort of thing, I'm completely fine with. That's great. There's no history. There's no connection to these women that are in his industry. And I'm like, that's great. Go do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anybody where there's no. He would not be happy if I was to say, hey, I'm going to go have dinner with my ex-boyfriend for no reason. I don't have you know what I mean? We don't have relationships with our exes.
Yeah.
One of us.
Why don't you have relationships with your exes? Like I don't think even my ex-husband, where now enough time has passed that like I don't mind any of them. I don't have any ill feelings towards them. We were friends at some point. There's still things that I enjoy and like about them. And same thing with like some of these girls that Nate has slept with. We're going to somebody's 40th birthday party in a couple months that he was excited to be able to see this girl's very similar to this guy in Texas. They were great friends. They were also sleeping buddies. She's turning 40. He wants to go. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's go.
But for me, people who were sleeping buddies, that's all they were. They were not good friends. So my friends stayed friends. My friends did not cross into sleeping buddies. Sleeping buddies had their own category. If you were in this category, you served one purpose, and that was it. We slept together. We may have hung out and had a good time, but you were not a friend. It was not meant to be a friendship. If you were a friend, you were a friend, and we were not sleeping together. It did not cross.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So now, like with Dion, it started, we were looking for a relationship. And of course, now we're obviously best friends, and we love each other, and we've got a great relationship. But anybody else? No, absolutely not. There's no point.
Yeah.
None.
So I think like there's one of the girls that Nate slept with that I met at a bar one night. Like I walked into a bar around the corner from my house, and this lady comes screaming from behind the bar. Nathan! Comes running up and gives him this great big hug. And I'm looking at Jen's ex-husband, and I'm like, oh great, here's another one. Here's another girl that my husband slept with, and we're cracking jokes about it. And she came up and gave me a hug and introduced herself, and then she spent the night serving us. But then also like she said all this great stuff. I'm so used to people saying that Nate was an asshole when he was a kid, that all this terrible stuff, which is not the man I know at all.
Okay.
And again, people hold on to what they think they know of somebody, right? And I said something like, oh yeah, I'm sure he was an asshole. And she was like, no, he was so wonderful. And she was like, I loved him, and said all this great stuff. And it honestly, like, I thanked her. The next morning I sent her a message and said, thank you for sharing that with me. And I loved hearing this wonderful stuff about this man that I love so much, to know that he made you feel the same way and you felt the same way about him. I mean, he didn't love her back, but
Right.
that he made her happy. Like it didn't, and now we're friends on Facebook, and it doesn't bother me at all.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's weird in some ways that I just, especially I think in this town, if I was to avoid every person my husband slept with,
You'd be inviting half of the town.
Right, I probably wouldn't be going anywhere.
Was a whore.
Right. So, but I don't have a problem with it at all. But I was the minority at dinner the other night.
Why were you the minority, other than you're half Filipino?
No, the minority in this opinion.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else was like, no, fuck that. You can't go to dinner with one of your exes.
Right. See, now if Dan was to come to me and go, so need to go have dinner with so-and-so, I'll be like, perfect. What time are we going?
Right.
We are going together. That's how this is going to go.
Right. And I'm so antisocial when he's like, oh, we should do this. Oh, no, you go right ahead. Tell her I said hi.
But see, you like the girl or whatever, so, and
right,
with me, it's different, because like I said, Dan does not have relationships with any of his exes.
Right.
So if one of them, if he was to come to me today and go, oh, I'm going to go have lunch with so-and-so, no, warning, like something, no, no. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's not how we've set up our relationship.
Well, I think, and that's a good point, right? If you set standards in the beginning and those are the rules that are set and you don't ever break that and that's what works, then great. Nate and I have always been very open about it.
Right.
And we always check in with one another first. It'd be different if I went to Texas, had dinner with this person, and didn't check with him first, get his opinion. And if he would have told me no, then I would have respected his no.
Correct. Right,
so,
as you should.
Right, and the history between the two of us knows that he knows that I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
And that I'm quite capable of handling myself if something does come up.
Mm-hmm.
In getting out of a situation that will put our marriage in jeopardy. I also know that he's very black and white about it. If I fuck up, he's done with me. Like that's his opinion on it. There's no, I'm sorry this dick fell into me.
Right, because that doesn't happen.
Right. There's none of that. And obviously I can't use alcohol as an excuse anymore, right? I mean, if I'm doing anything, it's a sober decision that I know these people aren't worth it. So if my husband was to say no, then the answer is no.
Right.
And I have to respect that.
Yep. Absolutely.
So to wrap this up, in regards to insecurities, how do you think as women we can adjust our own personal insecurities? Like what do you think you could start doing today to change your current insecurities in regards to physical insecurities?
So I think like what I need to start doing is not judging myself so much in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at myself and go, well, the titties are a little saggy. Look at the cellulite. Freaking, everything's out of place. And stop being so judgmental. And then the other thing that could probably start doing is, when we're out and about, stop judging other women, even if it's in your own head.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Because the trash in our head is what we hear.
Yep. So something we can do is every time either we say a negative thought about ourselves or about someone else, is that we should probably repeat that thought with 2 or 3 positive affirmations, either about ourselves or that particular person. Now, that's a really hard thing to do because you have to be very aware of it. But if it's something you're committed to doing, it would totally change your mindset.
I think that's great advice. And I think my therapist, Dr. Brown, talks about one downing ourselves, that I do this all the time. I one down myself. If you've said lovely things to me, right, about what you had expressed to Dion, typically I would say some smart ass comment back of, oh, but I'm batshit crazy, or oh, I'm this, and I'll take your compliment and I'll
turn it into a negative.
Right. Instead of just accepting a compliment for what it is,
right,
and receiving the compliment,
mm-hmm.
and allowing yourself to feel good about yourself. I think self-care and self-love, if like you have a great ass, right? Where you sometimes might look at it as a negative, where us girls with flat asses are like, that's a great ass.
And they're like, I want that ass.
Right. And just being able to accept, like, this is a great ass.
Right. But to me, I'm going, no, I'm like, I want to be a skinny bitch.
Right.
And the skinny bitches are like, I want all your weight. And I'm like, would you please take some? Like it.
Right. But it's, it's accepting accepting how our bodies are changing too, right? Who we were at 20
is not who we are today. Oh my God, it's so not who we are today.
Right.
No. Shit's changing.
It is. We could talk about that another day.
We could. And why our mothers do not prepare us for this.
You know why? Because nobody on TV look the way. I think now we're starting to be more realistic, and we have comedians out there that are saying, yeah, my tits are hanging down to my knees, and this is the truth of the matter. But in the 80s and 90s, as great as TV was then, everybody looked kind of perfect.
Right. We need some more vagina monologues going on, people.
Absolutely. Well, I think we should wrap it up here.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I feel good.
I think that was a great topic and a great conversation.
Are you gonna?
I hope that people, can be honest with their own insecurities, right? Because here, Tabby and I are talking about the insecurities that we have within ourselves, and we're really putting ourselves out there, and hope that our listeners will do the same, right? Yep. With their own girlfriends, with us.
Or have these conversations.
Yeah, have these conversations among yourselves. Allow yourself to be vulnerable to your friends, and allow, I don't know, just start being open with one another.
And remember, perfection is not real.
Absolutely. And as always, if you want to share with us your insecurities, your questions, your comments, anything we said to piss you off, you can email us at notasafespacepodcast@gmail.com. If you're emailing us to tell you how you pissed us off, we'll read it. We probably won't respond back.
Or you might not like the response.
Right. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And I think that's it, right?
Yep.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Have a great night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.